This is lesson 5 of 7 for American style, also known as National Mah Jongg League rules. You should have watched lessons 1 through 4, which covers all the basics. First, you learned about the tiles and how they work together. Then you learned how to look at your dealt hand of 13 tiles and identify a category to play. Now we're going to add the next phase of the game, which is called the Charleston. This is a passing of tiles between the players, and I'll show you how it's done. So here we have the rack, and we have our tiles. Mix them up. And you can do this with other players. Just do it one player at a time. We're going to take 13 random tiles. There's our 13 random tiles. That is basically simulating the drawn hand when you get ready to play a game of Mahjong. We're also going to create a mock Charleston. So we're going to take a set of 3 tiles and we're going to create 3 sets of 3. During the Charleston, players will pass 3 tiles to the player on their right, then 3 tiles to the player across from them, and then 3 tiles to the player to their left. Right, across, left. That's the compulsory Charleston. Then there's a second Charleston, which is optional, of the same idea, only in reverse order. So here we have right across, left, left across, right. So those are the 6 passes that we're going to do. And we'll talk about compulsory versus optional shortly. So we're going to look at our tiles. Oops. Just pop them up like that and stick them on your rack. When you're doing this with other players, it's nice to have them on top of your rack so that other people can look at the decision-making process and you can learn together. For this exercise, we're going to put them in our rack. And when you're alone, you can put them in your rack. On top, it's just easy for people to see. So I recommend putting them in this sort order. First, the jokers, then your flowers, then your wins, and then your suited tiles in sequence. So what we're left with here is a joker, a flower, a couple of wins, a bam, and then we have some cracks and dots. The first thing you want to look for is your multiples. The multiples can be 2 of a pair, 2 of a kind, 3 of a kind, 4 of a kind. So that would be pair, pung, kong. And here we have our multiple. It's a 6 crack. We're always going to keep our flowers. So with this multiple, you want to look at the rest of your tiles and decide amongst them which tiles will support your multiple for a certain category on the card. So we know that we're not going to do a year category for this one this year because this is 2017. We might look at 2, 4, 6, 8, but all we have here is a 2. We have no 4, 4, or 8. So we're not going to do the 2, 4, 6, 8 category either. Like numbers is not a possibility because this is the only 6 crack that we have. The next category is the 11 hand, or the 13 hand this year, lucky 13. We do have a 7 and a 3. So we want to think about that. On the lucky 13, it's a Kong of 7s, a Kong of 6 cracks, and a 1 and a 3. So we have a little gap here of no 1. So just keep this in mind. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tiles. We don't really have to count the flower because flowers can be used in every category, and counting it is kind of redundant. So we'll just focus on the tiles without the flowers. So let's put these back. This again is the strength of our hand. So after the lucky 13, we have quints. Usually I would play a quint if I have several multiples and at least 3 jokers. And in this case, that doesn't work. So we're not going to try for quints. the category after quints is consecutive run. So we would want, in a one suit situation, we would look at 5 numbers in a sequence. And in this case, we have no 5s or 8s. So that is not going to work. On the card, the first hand is 1 through 5 or 5 through 9. So with our crack situation, we have a lot of gaps. We have no 5 and we have no 8. In the odd category, this won't work because these are evens. So the next category is winds and dragons. The only wind that would work would be the east. And this is a pretty bleak start. 3 tiles, so the wind category is not going to happen. The next category is 3, 6, 9. Look at all the 3, 6, 9s that we have here. We can put them in order here. So I would say this is our category, 3, 6, 9, and it's built around our multiples, and that being this multiple of a 6 crack. So we're going to focus on 3, 6, 9, and we're going to pass these tiles. You want to pass good passes. There's a bad pass, and then there's a good, better, best pass. You can improve a good pass by mixing tiles up. So let's see how that's done. I would say if we pass an east and then a 7 crack and the 2 dot, that is a great, let's see, good, better, best. This is the best pass for this situation, and it's a really good pass because it's even, odd, and a wind, and mixed suits. This is a really good pass. So we're gonna pass this, that's our first right, and we're gonna receive our first right. So we've got winds, and we picked up a 9. We are in a 3, 6, 9 category. So we're gonna keep every 3, 6, 9, and we're not gonna pick a hand yet, not until we get rid of these discards. Once we get rid of discards or whittle down to a 1 or 2, that's when you pick a hand. Right now, we have plenty to pick from, so we don't have to pick a hand yet. So we're going to pick, I mean, at this point, it's arbitrary because it's equally dangerous. Like, this would be a bad pass. This is a better pass, and it's the best pass considering what we have here. So that is going across. This is our incoming cross pass. And we never get jokers during the Charleston. You're not allowed to pass jokers. So we have to take these and turn them in and then pick a random 2 to replace it. We got another one. Do the same thing. And we picked up a 3 dot. 3 dot is in our category. We're just going to put it in here and keep it. We're not going to look any further because we do have a pass. Now, this pass is a little dangerous, because the east and west this year is used with evens. So I would say we should probably at least break this up with 1 tile. We can pass an east with 1 8 dot or 1 8 dot with one of these winds, but I would say we should probably go ahead and give up on one of these tiles to break this up. If somebody's playing that east-west hand, you would feed right into their hand. So let's look at what we have. We have a major suit here, 3, 6, 9, followed by 3, 9, and then a 3 band. We do have a flower as well. So you want to look at the card and see what hands require flowers, and there are 2 this year. We have the 1 suit, all Kong, 3, 6, 9 hand, and then we have the flower with 3, 6, and 1 suit, and then 9, 9 in the other 2 suits. We're missing the 9 band, so that's a gap. So we're not gonna be able to do that. So in this case, that might be a good pass, and 3, 6, 9 like this would be our focus. Now, there is another hand on the card that I want to point out. It's the second one up from the bottom. It's pairs of 3s, 6s, and 9s, then Kongs of either 3s, 6s, or 9s, and we happen to have them. That would require us throwing away the flower. Either way, all of those options won't be using the 9 dot. So I say we throw this away and take a risk with this consecutive same suit pass. It's risky, but I think because of our situation, it's the best we can do. So we're going to pass to the right. And then, now let me just stop there. In the last right of the first pass, you can do something called passing blind. Passing blind would be, let's say that we were not comfortable with that and we want to pass 2 tiles. On the last, or the first left, the first left, because we've already gone right and across. Now we're going first left. When we pass the first left, we can pass up to 3 tiles blind. And that means that the incoming pass, we can take and add to the tiles without looking and pass them along to the next player if we want to. So the only time I would pass blind is if I know my hand. In this case, we're in between 2 hands. So I think that we should go ahead and just risk this situation and try to get all 3 here. So I just wanted to point that out, that you do have the option of passing blind at this juncture. So we're going to go ahead and pass our first left, and we're going to receive our first left. And we got a white dragon, a 7 dot, and a 9 bam. So we can stick that in here like that, and then we are left with these tiles to pass. This, I rarely pass flowers, and I rarely pass white dragons. So we're left with a 7 dot and an east. So we're back in that same situation. We need to pick a tile to pass. And I still think that the 3, 6, 9 option with the flower is best. And then as another option, the 3, 6, 9 with the 3, 3, in which case we do not need the 9 bam. So I just hold on to this dragon. We're going to pass the 7, 9 east. So that is the second left. And we're going to receive the second left. And we received a 3 dot. And now we have a north and a 4 bam. We're on our on the cross pass, which now is obligatory. Once you get into the second optional Charleston, you have to complete it. It's obligatory at that point. So now we have to decide either to give up on the white or break into these. And I think leaving our options is good. It's okay to risk passing a white dragon, but you just have to be mindful of it, and I wouldn't do it willy-nilly. So because of our situation here, we've got this new multiple. I say we go ahead and pass it. So we're going to pass across now and receive our cross pass. And here we got another white dragon and a 4.7 crack. So with that same decision, we're going to go ahead and pass that on for the last right. So we'll put that there and pick up our last right. And here we received a pair and a 6 bam. So we're still heavily into 3, 6, 9. Anytime you pick up another pair, you should reassess. In this case, this 7 dot cannot be used with our other multiples. We've got a multiple here with the 6 and a multiple here with the 9 and the 3. Clearly we're in 3, 6, 9. So for our optional cross, which is where we are, we did a right, across, left, left, across, right, and finally there's what's called an optional cross pass, where you negotiate between the player across from you up to 3 tiles in exchange. So I think the plan A is the 3, 6, 9 hand, where we have a pair of flowers, a Kong of 3s, Kong of 6 cracks, and a Kong of 9s. That's plan A. Well, let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then there's plan B, which is all pairs of 3, 6, 9 and a Kong of 3s in each other suit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 versus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is the hand we should play. So in this case, we can give up, and again, I wouldn't pass a flower. I would give up the 6 bam, 7 and 7 dots, but I don't want to pass a pair. So for this optional cross, I would recommend passing 2. So we would say I would like to pass 2, and then you take your 2, and for this exercise, we just mix these tiles up and then take 2. And we got a 7 back and a west, so we have discards. So that's the result of this Charleston, and I'd say that's decent. We are 4 tiles away from a winning hand. We're going to do another example. I'm going to mix this up. Get these tiles over here. Take our random 13. Okay, and then we're going to set up the mock Charleston, which is 6 rows of 3 tiles each. Right across, left, left across, right. So now we'll get our tiles, put them in our rack. Flowers first, followed by winds and dragons, and then the numbered suits. Here we have a flower, a north, some bams, a big string of cracks, and a 6 dot. So then, in this case, we have 2 multiples, 1s and 3s. 1s and 3s are clearly odd. So we want to look at the odd tiles in our hand. Here we have another 3, a 5, and a 5, 9. So these would be all of our keepers. These are our discards. So we are clearly in the odd category. You might consider, well, what about consecutive? We have no 2. We could do 3, 4, 5, but that would be only these tiles here. This is a much better start. So we're going to pass these tiles. We're going to mix it up a little bit. We'll throw the north, the 4 bam, and the 6. That way we're passing mixed suit. Even though they're evens, that's okay. There's always a little risk when passing, regardless of the pass. That's not true. The best pass, I think, is a wind, an even, and odd in mixed suits. To me, that's the best pass, because if they're lucky, they'll maybe get 1 tile, versus here they may get 2 because these are both evens, and that's only if they're in evens. So you just want to be really mindful of what you're passing. So we're going to go ahead and take these and pass them to the right. That's going to be the first right. Here comes our incoming pass. And again, we're in odds. We're going to keep every odd. So we're going to keep that one. And now we're left with all 8s. We surely don't want to pass both like numbers and a pair. That is a bad pass. There's a bad pass, a good pass, good, better, best. Remember, bad, good, better, best. So we can definitely make this at least good, if not better. So you want to then, because we don't want to pass those, we might pass one of them. And I say the 8 crack because you want to split up this multiple, because we have so many tiles that we're keeping. I would say probably we're going to split up that 8 so we're not left with a pair after this pass, because we have all these passes to come yet. So we want to look at the most of our multiples, and right now our multiples are here in this one suit, and we have one gap of a 7 crack to span the whole 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. I'd say that's pretty good. Not only that, but we could still do 1, 3, 5, and that is an intact combination. Remember, in 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, there are a lot of options for either 1, 3, 5 or 5, 7, 9. So we could either keep the 9, or we could give up the 9 and keep the 3, 5 and stick with the 1, 3, 5, 7, 9 options. And I think that is the better option, because here we have 2 more useful tiles, whereas if we keep the 9, we have only 1. So we're going to keep the 3-5, the 1-3-5 option. That's what we're going to focus on, and that gives us more tiles to pass. Now this pass is still going to be a bit dangerous because they are consecutive, but it is the best pass that we can do in our situation. We want to play offense first, then defense. So we're going to pass that, and we're going to pick up, this is our, we went right across, this is our cross pass. So here we have a 7 bam, 9 dot, and a 2 dot. So at this point, I'm kind of happy because now I have some good tiles to pass. We can go ahead and pass an 8, the 2 dot, and maybe the 9 dot. There's nowhere on the card this year where you can use a 9 and a 2. So this is an okay pass. It's a, you know, minor chance of this hitting somebody's hand. So I would say that's a pretty good pass. Actually, we could make that better by putting in a 7 bam. Well, it's really 6 1/2 dozen the other. I actually like putting the 8 bam over here because you want to look forward to your next pass. This would be the remaining tiles for our next pass, and it's a like number pass. If we give up the 8 bam, then we have a 7-8, which is better than a like number pass. So I think we should go back to our original 9-2-8. So that is our first left, and we are receiving our first left, and we have a 5 crack, which we're going to keep because we're focused on 1-3-5 here. We got a 4, an 8 crack, and a 9. And you might think, well, what about keeping the 4 because we could maybe get a consecutive pattern going. That's true, but if we were to do 1-5 with the 4, we have a gap of 2. So we can keep it though because look, we have 3 tiles that we can pass. So you have to count the cost of this because these are, again, are consecutive. If we want to focus on 1-3-5, we could probably give up that 4 and not spread ourselves too thin into the consecutive category. So I think it'd be better it would be better to pass a 4 crack. That way we have an even, an odd in cracks, and a bam. I think that's what we'll do. So this is the second left. We're receiving our second left here, and we got a joker. Can't keep a joker, you got to give it back. So we're going to stick that out there and pick this up. So we got a north, we got a 1 crack, so we're keeping that, and then we got a 2 bam. So we have our 1-3-5 here, we have an 8 crack, north, 2 bam, and that's an okay pass. We're going to go ahead and pass it. This is our cross pass. I'm going to put that there and pick up our cross pass. And we got a 3. We're going to slip that in there. We did end up getting that 7 crack that we missed. That was our gap tile early on, but we had to make a choice. Look though how this hand is developed though. Here now we have 2 tiles that we can pass. We're on our last right. Now we could pass 1 blind, and I'll show you how that works. Let's say that we don't want to break this up, and so we have 2 tiles that we know we can pass. We're going to put those to the side, and when we get our incoming pass, we're going to take 1 and add it to the other 2. That's called passing blind. We passed 1 tile blind. You can pass up to 3 blind if you want. Let's say these all fit in our hand. We could pass all of these blind and just move them right along, and the key is not to look at them. So that's how you pass blind. In this particular case, I think we could go ahead and pass these. We wouldn't want to keep this because we now have a pung in here and a pung in here. There's no hand on the card that uses pungs in the lower numbers all the way up to the 7 and 9. So we should pass this up. As a matter of fact, I think we're so solid in here that we should go ahead and give up even one of these. And I think the 5 bam is best because if we were to do the 3, we would be passing consecutive. So you always want to keep in mind, what are you going to keep for yourself, but still, what are you going to give somebody else? You want to make it as as defensive as possible. So we have a 5 bam, 2 bam, and a 7 crack, and we're going to go ahead and pass that. That is the last right, is what that's called. This is our incoming last right, and we got discards. So these are the tiles that we now have to work with. We have a solid hand here with the flower, pung of one, pung here of 1 cracks, pung of 3 cracks, and a pair of 5 cracks. This hand calls for a Kong here, Kong here, Kong here. So we really came a long way. Now we can still do an optional cross pass. This is how it works. Right across, left, left across, right. And then there's a final optional cross negotiated between the players across from each other. You can pass up to 3, but it has to be mutual. So in our case, if we pass 1 of each suit, that's actually a great pass. A wind in here probably would make it even better, but 1 of each suit is pretty good. What makes this one not perfect is that this is consecutive and these are both even. So it's not the best, but it's pretty good. So we're going to pass 3, and if our player across from us is in agreement, they'll take 3. So we're going to put that there, and we're going to take these just for the sake of this modeling exercise, and we're going to mix these up, and we're going to pick 3 out of there. So we received a 4 crack north, 2 bam, and 6 dot. Now this 4 crack does fit in here. We could end up, if we got some 2s, we might be able to do a consecutive hand. So I would say we can save this, but more likely than not, we're going to be playing the 1, 3, 5 hand all in cracks, and these will be our discards. That is how you work this modeling exercise, and you would just throw the tiles in, mix them up, and repeat that process until you are comfortable with the decision-making process through the Charleston. So leave a comment below. Let me know what you think about this modeling exercise, and study, practice, and then the next exercise, I think what we're going to do is I'm going to walk through the setup of the game, and then because I'm alone, I don't have any players with me, so I can't really do a mock game by myself. I think we could maybe do a game online, and I can do kind of a commentary through the process. So I will see you at the next lesson.